Among the 1300 boxes, it was the last one missing from the lineup after the GS, the RT, and the RS, with which it shares almost the entire platform. Welcome the R1300R, BMW's naked bike with the 1300 Boxer engine. I'll introduce it to you a bit more closely and then we'll see how it performs. As always, I'd like to thank the Baldassarre Moto dealership for giving me the chance to take this R1300R for a spin today, which, as I mentioned, shares practically everything with the RS. It's the same bike, it's just that this is the naked version, completely unfaired, the handlebars are different, but otherwise the essence is the same. Perhaps, though, it will appeal to more people's tastes, because in the end, it's a bit more accessible in its aesthetic language. As for the frame, it's a steel frame with a bolted-on rear subframe. The 1300 Boxer engine is also one of the load-bearing elements of the entire structure of this bike, which can also boast a modest seat height to make it accessible to almost everyone. In fact, it sits at 785 millimeters from the ground. As you can see, I can touch the ground well with both feet, legs still bent, 1.77 meters, as always for reference. The weight is significant, but it's not felt that much when stationary. It's 239 kilograms. As I was saying, the engine, well, it's an old acquaintance by now. It's the engine that debuted with the GS, the 1300 Boxer. It delivers, as always, 145 horsepower at 7,750 RPM, and the peak torque is 149 Newton meters, which arrives at 6,500 RPM. Here you can see the original BMW double exhaust, which splits and then rejoins on the other side. There's still the single-sided swing arm here, and on the other side, of course, the transmission is handled by the shaft drive. The suspension department, which in this case doesn't feature the telelever or Evo telelever like on the GS or RT, but instead we have a more traditional 47mm diameter upside-down fork with 140mm of travel. At the rear, on the single-sided swing arm, we have a monoshock installed, which is the classic paralever, in this case the Evo 2. We have 130mm of travel. The wheels are 17 inches because this, just like the RS, is a purely road bike, unlike the GS. We have a 120/70/17 front wheel, and at the back, a nice wide 190/55/17 tire to clearly improve grip, especially during a bit more, let's say, twisty riding. As for the braking department, we have an axial type master cylinder and a double 320mm disc at the front. At the rear, a single 285mm disc. The calipers are BMW branded, but as an option, there are always sport calipers and sport brakes available, though they're part of one of the many packages for those who want to clearly improve the braking response of the R1300R. A 17-liter tank with about 20 kilometers per liter claimed by BMW. And with all this, we have a price that on the BMW list isn't even that exaggerated. We're just over 17,000 euros. As mentioned, there are many packages. There's the comfort package, which adds heated grips, a heated seat, and other comfort-oriented improvements. The dynamic package, on the other hand, brings the pro riding mode, the quick shifter, and other innovations specifically for the riding experience. And then, speaking of innovation, there's the innovation package, which instead brings dynamic suspension adjustment and consequently the management of the bike's height. In short, all of this completes a bike that is already very well equipped by default, so while some things might be missing, you might not even need the packages. As for the price, we're just over 17,000 euros, but it depends on everything you want to add, because here you can add a bit of everything from single options to various packages. We have the comfort package that adds conveniences like heated grips and a heated seat, the dynamic package that brings the pro riding mode and the quick shifter, and then there are all the new features of the innovative package, including dynamic suspension management. It's clear that if you configure the bike with all the packages, the price won't be that anymore, but with BMW, well, we've learned to expect that. Anyway, as for her, the only thing left to check is the sound. Even if we know the 1300 keyless start, I'll let you hear how this engine sounds, then we'll hop on and try this R1300R. I'll tell you, compared to how the GS sounds, maybe this exhaust manages to give this bike a slightly sportier sound, complete with those final pops that always add to that sporty charm. But now let's hop on the R1300R and see how it goes. So guys, here it is, the BMW R1300R. We've tried the RS, the RT, the two GSs, only this one was missing from the list this year. Baldassarre Moto has one, so you can try it too. This blue color, in my opinion, is perfectly in tune with the bike, which, as you can see, has become much sportier, much sharper, and much leaner compared to the 1250. Up front, I didn't tell you, but there's also the radar, which I think fits in quite well. It's not bothersome, it's not an eyesore, and above all, it enables, as part of the innovation package, the driver assistance systems. So we also have adaptive cruise control. The bike manages the distance from the vehicle in front by itself. Definitely very convenient for, let's say, the riding phases, especially during commutes, which aren't exactly this bike's forte. But then again, it's something you end up dealing with anyway. Let's start it up. And let's start our test. Alright guys, here we are on board the BMW R1300 R. I've waited a whole year for this because last year we tried the RS. Baldassarri didn't have the R, but this year the R is here. So if you're more interested in the naked version, which I think will appeal to more people than the RS, which is a bit more niche, well, now's your chance. Go to the dealership and book a test ride. It's worth it. I can tell you that already. Anyway, let's start with the riding position. This isn't the S1000R. It's not an extreme bike. It's a naked bike that's actually quite comfortable, to be honest. And I have to say, it reminds me a lot of the F900R in general, because compared to the S1000RR, the S1000R, which is narrower here, this one is nice and wide like the F900R, and in some ways I prefer it.
By the way, these wide side panels here near the tank area do a good job of hiding the Boxer engine, which isn't really something that stands out. And maybe on a naked bike it's actually better this way, a bit more disguised. Anyway, the handlebars aren't too wide for this kind of bike. There's a slight curve that brings the grips closer to the rider. The forearm position is very relaxed, calm and restful. You look at the seat and think, this is a brick, it's rock hard. But no, it's actually quite a comfortable seat for a naked bike, with 2 levels for the rider and passenger. Both seats are very comfortable. The foot pegs are set back a bit, it's true, but not that much. The ergonomics are geared towards comfort, in my opinion, but also dynamism. It's a well-judged middle ground, just perfect. So let's see how it handles now in the city on longer trips, and then we'll come back with the conclusions. We're in dynamic mode. Wow, the front end responds so well. Obviously, there's no telelever here. Man, what a great feeling. Look at that. Amazing. It's so precise. The engine feels really punchy. Just from these first few accelerations and corners, it's given me a very, very satisfying feeling. We have the quick shifter, of course, which I think is still an option, actually. In my opinion, it really should be standard on a bike like this, but it's still an optional extra. 1 gear down, 2 gears down, dynamic mode, so the suspension gets stiffer too. But look at this. Then when you open it up, oh my goodness. 0 weight transfer. This engine has a pull that never ends. Yeah, it's like a flow, being at one with the road. Should I say it? Am I going to get a lot of hate for this? Yes, I'm going to. This bike excites me, it's fun, and it gives me that extra shot of adrenaline, even compared to the S1000R. Fast sweeping corner. Look at how it leans in. The front end is fantastic. It just floats on the exit. This bike is so much fun, guys. I mean, really, really super fun. What a pleasure. And listen to that 1300 sing. I haven't mentioned the brakes, which are perfectly suited to the bike. Not overkill. In fact, in some ways, having an axial master cylinder means you don't get that instant bite, which you don't need on a bike like this. This is a bike for smooth riding, enjoying its characteristic vibrations, the torque, and the sound of this 1300 engine, which really performs better here than in any of the other 1300s. Ah, how nice the 1300 Boxer is. So nice. Then on such a light bike, it feels even more powerful, it feels even torquier, and this bike is really a crazy little toy. The gear lever is slightly too narrow in my opinion, and too far under the Boxer. I struggle to find it sometimes. While I must say that the suspension, even in dynamic mode, well, it gives you a decent, interesting level of comfort. It's not a bike that's overly harsh or sharp over bumps, and from a comfort perspective, that improves things a lot. 1 more gear down, 2 gears down, and let's go left. Nice, guys, really nice. Super pleasant bike. Pleasant until you hit the gas, because then it becomes a beast. All torque as it should be. In the city, this bike doesn't stop surprising either, because you'd expect at this point that BMW made it sporty, and being sporty you'd lose a lot in the city, but that's not the case. Let's say the only thing to do right now is maybe switch to, I don't know, road mode to dampen the punchy character of the 1300 a bit. But beyond that, I have to tell you it's surprising here too, because we have this suspension that, while holding up great during more dynamic riding, becomes incredibly comfortable in the city. The seat too, as I mentioned before, is really, really comfortable, more than what we'd expect from a 1300 naked. But then, precisely on the bumps, this is a bike that absorbs very well, almost like a GS, I'd say. See? I mean, okay, no, I won't say almost like a GS anymore, but roughly the comfort level remains above average. Really great stuff. But now, as for high-speed transfers, obviously we're on a naked bike, so as you can hear, a lot of air hits you, but we still have a nice wide tank that protects us well in the leg area, so there's aerodynamic protection there. Also thanks to the Boxer being perfectly integrated with the plastics. On the arms, torso, shoulders and helmet, however, a lot of air hits you. We still have cruise control, which, once activated, lets us lock the speed, and we also have radar, as you can see. So right now, for example, I've set a speed of 81 kilometers per hour, so I won't have problems with the vehicle in front of me. If I try to increase it, you see, I'm voluntarily increasing it to unthinkable speeds. I set it to 150. In reality, the bike, see, positions itself behind the vehicle in front, and we don't go over 92 to 90 kilometers per hour, maintaining the right safety distance from the vehicle ahead. If we get too close, it slows down and then brakes automatically. The radar on this bike, let's say, isn't something you need to have, but if you really want to buy the innovation package, it's something you get, and it can be convenient and even safe in certain situations. Alright guys, from this Black Forest setting to find a connection with the Germany of Puglia, that's all for this video on the R1300 R. It's a bike that's basically very similar to the RS, but maybe it makes more sense because there are no clip-ons, there are no fairings. It becomes lighter, more agile, more dynamic, and more fun. The engine seems to be a bit freer to above all express that torque, which is the real added value of the Boxer, and its horsepower, of course. Especially in the dynamics, I liked it more than the RS, I have to admit. It made me have more fun. It's a bike that, in the end, for being a naked with a 1300 Boxer engine, goes like an 800 or 900 twin-cylinder. A really great result for BMW. It's certainly become sportier, sharper, and more manageable than the 1250, and in my opinion, also a great vehicle for light touring. In the past, well, the R of the Boxers has always been seen wandering around Italian cities with bags in tow, because in the end, you can tour with bikes like this too. And in my opinion, this bike really makes a lot of sense. The price is high, but not too much for what the general offer is. Anyway, if you're interested, I remind you that the new season has started, and at Baldassarre Moto, an official BMW dealer, you can try it out. Do it because it might surprise you, in my opinion. And if you like it, then you risk doing some damage, I'm telling you. Anyway, that's all for today's video. A big greeting from Andrea. We'll see each other again soon in a future video. Bye.